What is up, guys? Welcome back to OverTakes. This is Misfit. It's finally time, guys. The playoffs are here. We got the play-ins. We're going to be doing our preview for that. Talk about the matches that we already have established. I'll pull out my crystal ball, give you a feel for maybe what team picks who in the play-ins, and then we'll run through some scenarios, I guess. We'll run through a couple scenarios that could happen if the teams play each other, etc., and what have you. But before we get into that, thank you everybody for joining me. Thank you very much for all of your support. Greatly, greatly appreciated. If you're new, thank you very much for stopping by. I do Overwatch League content 2 to 3 times a week. This week we're going to have a little bit more, a little content heavy, because I wanted to get in a ranking before we got into the playoffs, get a little preview up here, and start talking about what's going on game-wise and not the peripheral stuff of what, the rankings and the award show's fun and all that stuff, and talking about what might happen with the playoffs. Let's talk about what we really know, right? So we're going to do that. Going to dive into these matches. We have 3 of them set already, 2 in NA, 1 in APAC, and we're going to get it going. All right, so without further ado, let's get into this. So our first matches are going to be on Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have the Paris Eternal taking on the Washington Justice, followed by the Boston Uprising taking on the Toronto Defiant. Then, Sunday, 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have the Hangzhou Spark taking on the Philadelphia Fusion. And those are all the matches that we know right now. Only difference is that the APAC play-ins are going to both be on the same day. So whoever wins the Hangzhou Philly match is going to go, after that match, go back-to-back and face Seoul. So, interesting twist there for the APAC teams. But, it is what it is. Figured maybe they would start that one Saturday a.m. But, however they want to run it, that's fine. They're running it like a regular tournament. So, Hangzhou Philly, followed by, potentially, either Hangzhou or Philly playing Seoul. Seoul has no choice. The other 2 teams on the NA side are going to get to pick their opponent, which is going to make it interesting. All right, so NA-wise, let's break this down. Paris, Washington, first off. All right, you guys know my feelings on Washington and Paris right now. So this is my feeling going in. We have open hero pools. We have the map pool and all that. I don't really want to dive into too much into that stuff for this. So Paris versus Washington. Washington, I've said a lot about Washington. They have Decay. That's one thing that Paris does not have. They do not have a guy like Decay. I don't know what to expect from Washington that is on the good side. I have come to expect from them playing occasionally above their head, or actually not above their head, I'm sorry, playing at the level they should be playing at. The rest of the time, muddling around, doing whatever they're doing, and it feels like, I've said this before too, waiting for Decay to do something special. Look, this team should be way better than they are. They should not be this low in the rankings. They should be in a Houston or a Shock position, in my opinion. But on the whole, though, good side. Let's talk positives about Washington. All right, Mag, Fury, decent tank line. Mag's taking a little bit to come into his own, but he's playing a little bit better. I don't know what to expect with what the meta is going to go with. I'm assuming they're going to go with what they're comfortable on, but you never know what's going to happen. They're with the patch, the maps, all that kind of stuff. I think you're going to see more of what they did well on earlier, which in my estimation was relying a lot on some of the Rhine and some of the Winston comps with Mag. Fury is decent enough. I don't know what to expect. I love Fury, but he doesn't do anything extraordinary anymore. He doesn't do anything bad necessarily, but it's just not at the level I expected him to be. Is it terrible? No. There's a lot worse guys in the league than him. I'm not making him out to be some horrible piece of this team, but Assassin has got to step his game up. Maybe if we get into a scenario where he's not playing Sombra, it'll be a little bit better, but I don't know. All I know is if Decay's on, they're going to be in the match, in which I'm expecting him to be because he's a warrior, a competitor, whatever you want to call it. They're going to be in this match. On the other side, let's talk Paris a little bit here. Paris, their tank line is decent enough with Don and Vestola. They like to play the slow, grindy stuff, so you're going to expect to see that a lot from them. Whether they're probably going to run a lot of that slow stuff that they're doing. That has gotten them to this point. So I would expect some Orisa stuff. We have Sigma back in the mix. We might see a little bit of double shield stuff going on with them, but I'm expecting to see some of the stuff that we saw in the June joust where they looked really good. Well, they started to look good, and they got better as it went on, but they kind of stumbled a little bit. I'm making excuses now, it sounds like, but they're up and down is what I'm getting at. But I am looking for them to win this match 3-2. I'm taking Paris 3-2 in this match. I'm sorry, everybody thinks I hate Washington. I don't. I just don't see them competing at a high level right now. They could surprise me, and it's in the realm of possibility. They have the players to do it. I just want to see it done. I'm done with like I said, I'm done with the what if with Washington. It's the do it now. And this is their time to do it now. And I'm not banking on them to do it. I'm taking Paris 3-2. I think that back line of Khan and Dridro is going to provide the needed boost and the needed extra whatever that they need to do to get through this. I think their DPS are okay, but they're not better than Decay. That's the thing. That's what I worry about in this match by taking Paris. But I'm taking them 3-2. I guess you could call it an upset. I'm not calling it an upset. Paris 3-2. Let's move on to the next match. All right, next match, we got Boston and Toronto. If you're a baseball fan, this goes back to the early 90s, I guess, in baseball. Red Sox versus the Blue Jays, but we're not there. We're not on that level. Boston is crawling into the knockouts, in my opinion. They got gifted a spot by the Mayhem, and this is their chance to take that gift and possibly do something with it. I like what they have going on, but here we go. Here's my butt on their team. I just don't see it with this team. They're good, but they're not good enough. I don't think they're going to get to a level right now. Yeah, they had some key wins, big wins. They beat Houston, but they did get 3-0'd by Vancouver. That is a red flag in my prediction kind of scenario here. They got beat by them. Yeah, they beat Houston. They beat some teams. They've had some good things going on. But I just don't think they have enough to beat Toronto right now. Toronto looked really good in the Countdown Cup. If they continue to play like they did in that, where you had Aspire playing the Tracer, doing a lot of damage, just causing havoc, being spot on with pulse bombs, marks, all the things that you're looking at on a Tracer, he was doing a fantastic job. Hisu playing Sombra, if they do that, Hisu playing the Sombra or whatever else he was playing fucking Hangzhou like a maniac. Hangzhou, I really don't think they're going to get rid of Hangzhou for Ashe right now. Just a side note on the meta. Hangzhou has been very important. He does a lot of damage. You can get quick picks with him. You can shoot from 9 miles away, shooting 2x4s into people's skull with the storm arrow and all that. Yeah, Ashe is valuable, dynamite, all that stuff, Bob, but I think Hangzhou might be here to stay. That being said, if that happens, I'm going with Toronto in this. Fairly easy 3-1. I think Toronto's at a point where they're doing really well. We saw Sato and Michelle play very well in the Countdown Cup qualifiers and all that stuff, the play-ins or whatever that was called, knockout round. Michelle has been a beast, and their support line is decent enough. I'll give them that. Lastro has been playing like he did last year. It's a guy that you didn't really see too much, hear too much of, but he's doing a yeoman's work at flex support. Stuff that you don't see. He's providing a lot for that team. But I think the main thing is to get Aspire and Hisu rolling and let Michelle and Sato create space for them and do all the things that they need to do. I like Toronto 3-1. All right, let's move to APAC. For the one match we know about there, we have Philly and Hangzhou. All right, I've talked a lot about Philly all year long. Look, I think they're in a place right now where I think they could do something. I think this is the moment, Philly fans, where your team needs to nut up or shut up. I don't think they're shutting up in this one. Hangzhou got gifted, much like Boston, and Hangzhou has the pieces where they could do some damage and possibly win something. But they mimic a lot of teams in my mind. They're kind of like Washington, like I said in the rankings. I don't like what they do when it comes to game time. You look at it on paper, you're going, oh my god, this team should be good. Gushue, you got Shy, you have Architect. You don't have MCD, but you have Coldest, who's really good. You have all these pieces, but they don't do anything. And I think Philadelphia is going to take advantage of that right now. Coldest doesn't have as much synergy as MCD did with this team. And Philly has gotten their synergy together. I think they're there. I think they're ready to go. They're going to make a run here. I like them in this 3-0. There is no doubt in my mind they're going to win. If they lose, Philly, I'm back to season 1 with you. I don't know what to fucking do with you. That was my thoughts in season 1. I didn't know what to do with Philly because I never could predict them right. Them and Houston. Then eventually it got easy with Houston. I had to get a ticket on the Outlaws. I haven't done that in a good 9-10 months, for crying out loud. I'm like a year behind. Seriously, though, Philadelphia has all the components. They're playing well. They've had some time off to get things together even more. You have the best backline in the league, potentially, outside of a couple other teams, Shanghai, Dallas, a couple of them. Carpe in a playoff situation. EQO is playing decent enough. Mono knows playoffs and all that stuff. And so does Hotba. So you have a team that's a veteran team, experienced, ready to go, against a team that is crawling into the playoffs. 3-0 Philadelphia. All right, we're going to stay in APAC because this is a lot easier to predict because there's no predicting what team plays what. So we're going to have Philly and Seoul again. All right, this is for all of the marbles to go to the playoffs. Seoul Dynasty got their playoff guys ready to go. We have Gesture, Profit. You know, it's playoff time. They normally perform when the pressure's on. And then you have the rest of that team, which is playing decently enough. Couldn't get the job done at the Countdown Cup. They got kind of swamped, boomed, whatever you want to call it. The rest of their team, I'm very, very concerned going into this match with their support line play. Again, I'm going to keep harping on this. Creative is decent enough. Onimo has not been doing the job all of the time consistently. He's okay. When you get him on Mercy, he's all right. But I don't know if we're going to be in a meta where he's going to be playing Mercy. I don't know if we're going to be unless, we're doing an Echo thing where he's pocketing Profit or something like that. Then we could have a different story. But if we're running the things that they've been running, if we get into a scenario where you're running a Sombra Tracer or even a Hanzo Tracer, and you're relying on his Brig and Creative to play BAP or Zen or Ana, I think that's where this could turn bad for the Seoul Dynasty. Because, like I said in the Countdown Cup, the one thing that stands out the most on this, as far as the tail of the tape, is Alarm and Funny Astro are miles better than Onimo and Creative, as far as the support line goes. Now, that being said, I should just really take the recording I did for the Countdown Cup one and put it in here. Now, if they let Profit and Fitz do what they do, they're in big trouble. And if Gesture is invested, like he was in the last time, it's going to be a hard game for Philadelphia. Profit and Fitz are the go-to on Seoul. So what needs to happen is Carpe and EQO and or Shockwave need to neutralize those two and take advantage of the fact that the Seoul's backline is not as good as theirs. And one or both of them, what I really want to see from Philadelphia is some good hard dives into the back line. Because I don't think Animo and Creative can handle it with Carpe and EQO doing stuff, depending on what comps are running and stuff like that. I think they could do enough damage to that back line and kind of throw chaos into the situation where you're going to need Profit to peel a lot more than normal if you do proper dives and get in the right scenarios. Because, you got Mono and you got Hotba. You could do a good old-fashioned Monkey Diva dive thing. If you're not going to go that route, get him on the ball. Maybe Hotba on Sigma. I don't want to see too much of the Zarya because the Zarya is just going to get blown up right now. If you want to run the Echo and do the Orisa slowdown thing, I don't know. I think you need to come at, from Philadelphia's perspective, I think you need to go at Seoul. Seoul is going to want to probably do the Orisa stuff, maybe some ball stuff and monkey stuff, but they're going to want to do some of that Echo stuff that they did early on, or Tracer and Sombra around the Orisa, potentially Sigma, double shield kind of thing. I would go at them hard, fast, change the pace of the game, force them on the things that they might not want to do. If they're wanting to do a lot of Echo stuff, I would try and force them. It sounds stupid to force Profit on the Tracer, but it might be more viable to get him onto that because it's going to change their game plan. Because that way you get Onimo into a different pick because he probably would go on Mercy Echo kind of thing. Or if they try Pharah or something like Pharah ball, one of those Pharah ball things or something. You want to get the backline in an uncomfortable position and take advantage of that. Your backline is fine if you're Philly. And the main job for Profit and Fitz is going to be to try and just make Alarm's life a living hell, and same thing with Funny Astro. You're going to have Lucio in this too, so you're going to probably see some kind of, you might see a little bit of rush. APAC, probably not too much. But I've been beating around the bush here for a good 3 minutes. What I am looking at here, as much as I want my boy to go to the playoffs once again, I think it's the end of the line for Seoul. I think it's a 3-2. I'm taking Philly. I think their back line is going to be a little too much for Dynasty to handle. I think they'll be able to keep their guys up too much and make crucial plays at the right time, meaning Alarm and Funny Astro. So that's my thoughts on that. All right. Now the NA crystal ball is out. Now this is all conjecture and what I think is going to happen. What I think is going to happen is, depending on who's got the first pick, I'm assuming it's San Francisco because they're a higher seed. I think San Francisco's going to pick Paris. London gets stuck with Toronto. So let's talk San Francisco and Paris. Now, we've talked a lot about Paris lately. We haven't talked too much about the Shock and what they do. We all know what they can do. And it's playoff time. You have this team that's seasoned, two-time champions, going up against Paris. And I with an open hero pool and all of the stuff available to them, I just see them doing a number on the Paris Eternal here. I think this is where the Shock make their move. They get into the playoffs. I'm not thinking going beyond that as far as predictions or what I see, but I think they're miles better than Paris. And I think this team, they've just been a little short here and there. They've taken a little bit of time to get ready, and you're going to get into a situation where you're going to get guys like Ons on heroes that he can play. It's going to be a scenario where you have Ons on Ashe, possibly. We're going to be seeing some of that. Widowmaker, you're going to see him on some longer range hit scan stuff. And Nero does more than people actually want to give him credit for on this team. He's been really, really good for them. It's unfortunate that no one sees that because we all see, Shock bad because they lose going into the playoffs. But Nero's been really good all year long. You add if you run Twilight Violet or you run FD God if you're going to do some Lucio comps. I just think there's so much better than Paris right now across the board. you can't deny that they have every advantage in this match. And I'm going to roll with them in a pick for that. And I'm going to go Shock 3-1. I'm going to give Paris a map, possibly the first map on Control. I'm going to go with, Shock feeling them out, all that kind of stuff. But I like the Shock 3-1 in this one. All right, last match. Houston Outlaws versus the Toronto Defiant. I think this is going to be a really good match. Low-key, I've been wanting to see what these teams do. They're I think Houston's a little bit better, sort of, maybe, kind of, possibly. I think they're close on level right now. I think Toronto punched up quite a bit in the Countdown Cup. They showed a lot of the stuff that we wanted to see earlier in the season with some of these guys they have on the team. Houston has dropped down a little bit from the highs that they were having early in the season. So this is going to be a great match. I'm really excited if this happens, honestly, because I kind of root for Toronto, and I like the story of Houston turning it around a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I've been bagging on Houston for 3 years now, and it got old after a while. It was just too easy. So seeing them turn it around is fantastic. Now, the way the match is going to go, I don't know. You have a lot of things that you're going across the board looking at this match. You're going, okay, Houston's got a better tank line, but do they? Support line, kind of leaning on Toronto, but are they better? There's a lot of ifs and buts and all this stuff. I think they're closer on level than you would want to think. One standout thing, though, is I think Dante and Happy with an open hero pool might be better than Hisu and Aspire by a little bit. And I think that's going to be one of the things that's going to lead me into picking in this one the Houston Outlaws. I'm going to take Houston 3-2. I just think Dante and Happy are going to dictate this match a lot. I really like what they do. And also, you throw into the fact that you can get Piggy on Sigma and run some of that stuff. I just feel like that Houston can win this match. I'm not counting Toronto out by any stretch of the imagination here. I think with this roster that they have right now and the way they played in the Countdown Cup, they've got confidence. They're kind of doing we're against everybody else. They don't think we can do this kind of thing. And I think Houston took a little step down. They might be reeling on their back foot, but they've had some time to look at what they're doing and do all this stuff. And like I said before, they always go in with a good plan. And I think they can execute whatever plan they need to execute against the Defiant, because I think that Happy and Dante are the ones that they really need to focus on dictating what needs to be done. I really do think that they need to let those two guys get on the heroes that they're the best on. Not going with the meta slave thing or, we should be running X. Have them run what they're good at. Have a plan B if things go awry. And I think they will, what their fans have wanted them to do for years, and that's get to a big playoff situation. I think they're poised and ready to go for this. They had a good year all year, slid a little bit in the middle, late season, but they're ready to go. Toronto, they could win this game if Aspire and Hisu do what they did in some of those Countdown Cup games. If those two guys play like they did against Atlanta, Houston's in trouble. But I'm still going to go with the Outlaws 3-2 in this. All right, guys, that's going to be my play-in preview. Say that a few times fast. As always, really, really fun talking about this stuff. Love talking about this stuff with you guys. And, we're getting to the wire. All right, guys, now it's your turn. Comment down below. Tell me what I did wrong or right or whatever. Give me some reasons. Let's have a conversation about this. Get the ball rolling, ready for the playoffs. Thank you very much for all your support. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. If you're new, thank you very much for stopping by. If you hit a like, hit a subscribe, do the YouTube jazz, that'd be fantastic. This is Misfit. I'm out. Everybody stay safe. Have a good rest of your day. Enjoy the play-ins, and I'll talk to you on the next one.